Hello everyone, I'm here to show you how to make a miniature soccer game in C++ in UE4 without using any sort of assets or fancy stuff, just like a simple little blocking soccer game. I'll show you right now. I have a power-up which makes the balls invincible themselves. In 1 second. Let me drag that down here. Right now, I have a I have these balls, right, and I have these blockers, and each blocker destroys a ball. But then when I pick up the power up, and I touch a ball, and I overlap a ball using an overlap, the ball then destroys the blocker, and that's about it, and it goes into the goal. And the goals being these overlaps here. As you notice by now, my style, I like to usually set everything up first. I don't like to have to type it from scratch and go from there. I have everything set up. See, as you can see, there's an overlap around the character. There are overlaps around each box component or box components. There's a spawner for the ball, the blocker, and the power-up itself. If I move this power-up, this has like a 60-second timer, so you can't just keep using the block, the what do you call it, keep abusing the invincibility power-up for the ball itself. All I'm gonna go over the character and the power-up first, and then the ball, and then the blocker. I'm gonna go with the character, go over the character and the power-up itself. And the spawner for the actually no, not yet. The spawner not yet. I'll go over that in the next video. So what you want to do, you want to create, of course you want to go inside the character itself, and you want to create, right click, create a new C++ class, go down where it says actor, and create the power up. Create an A actor and create a power up. Of course, it's actor, and name it my power up, however you want to name it. Then what you're going to do, you're going to go into the power up itself, and you're going to create a static mesh component. You have static mesh box component, and you have an overlap function to go with this power box component. That is called on power up begin overlap. And what it's going to do is going to detect the player once he runs into the power up itself. So you can see it's detected. I'm casting to the player inside the overlap, casting to the ball itself, because the ball itself, once you create the ball, you're going to want to cast to the ball to check to see if the ball actually ran into the overlap. Because if you want to check to see if it doesn't run into the overlap in order to get the power up timer, and I'll show you the power up timer in a second, which is inside the player, casting to the player. I do go into the player, and I'm starting from the .h and going into the CPP itself. We're going to create a character sphere or use sphere component, and create a U function on component begin overlap. for that character sphere. Go in here, create a void function, two U functions, checking to see if the power up is not active and the power up timer is active. And then you have goal points and power up is collected. Oh, let me get rid of this real quick. It's not necessary. Can make this U property edit anywhere. And check to see if I got that right. I'm sure I got it right. I just added a blueprint rewrite, which I'm not gonna be using blueprints. Only use what you only include what you use, and that includes parameters inside of U properties. I'm gonna keep it in the same category. I'm just gonna include in the delay category, and then U property edit anywhere. Anywhere, category, power up, Boolean, to kind of organize it a little bit. I keep this at the very top up here, this F timer handle for the timer I'll be using. And I'm going down, so you'll include these two U functions, two delay timers, one for the initial delay and one for the initial delay and one for the over what do you call it, the runtime delay. That this will start, and as it's running, it'll do 20 seconds. It'll be there for 20 seconds, and then it'll set it back to false. Set the Boolean back to false. So once you take this power up, it'll activate the timer, destroy it, and also I include a G-engine log that would indicate that the ball is the now. And now it explains what it does. So once this overlaps with one of the ball and or balls, the the ball will become invincible. There's a power up timer. You'll know the power up timer automatically, so it's detecting to see if the power up collected is equal to false. Then it'll set it to true. And once it is true, after this timer runs out, it'll call this function and set that boolean back to false. And to kind of elaborate for the next video, when I'm going to go over the ball and the spawners itself, it'll detect inside the character if the power up has been collected. If it's overlapped with the player and the power up is collected. And if it is collected, then it will set this timer to true. It will set this timer and detect and get this power up, and then set a boolean inside the blocker that will allow that blocker to be destroyed. So I'm casting from the ball to the player, then from the blocker to the ball and to the player, checking if booleans are valid or not. Basically, it's a usage of timers. You're using timers in order to switch booleans to true and false, and you're checking the booleans inside each actor to see if it is true and or false to indicate whether or not the blocker should be destroyed and or the ball be destroyed during runtime. And right now, after you're done creating the C++ class and writing the code with these U functions, creating this U functions here, these two U functions, and creating the overlap for the character as well, and creating a default sub-object and setting the root component to the character sphere. There's a creating the character sphere default sub-object, setting the sphere radius to 150, and activating the on-component begin overlap inside the constructor, and then setting the root component equal to the character sphere. Here's all the includes. That you will need. Are the U functions. And after you're done doing that, you're going to need to create blueprint folder. You just name it blueprint. In order to do that, you just right click, go to the content browser, right click, new folder, and you can call it blueprints. Blueprint or blueprints. And what you do, you can set the folder color by right clicking and set the color to a new color, and however you want it. Set it here. I just set it to blue because blueprint. I'll just delete that for now. Delete the folder. You open up this folder, and then you create your blueprint actors inside this folder. You can then, organize it however you want. I'm just doing it simply, just the simplest way possible. So now what you're going to do, you're going to create a second. I'm gonna organize this by dragging this over here to the blueprints folder. Here we go, I'm dragging it over here, so that then it's much easier to visualize. You want to set this to overlap all dynamic and control usually what you're affecting in C++ using casting to set the world dynamic, set it all to overlap. As programs get more complicated, you're going to have to fiddle potentially with the collision preset because you'll have multiple actors with different collision presets that will potentially nullify the effect of this or I mean object type. You're gonna have to modify the object type of this to whichever object type that you're using in order to overlap with. So right now, I created a blueprint class, or this is already created, and I created a power up blueprint class. I connected the power up mesh with the power box itself, or the sphere component, but the box component, or the box collision. Last name sphere component. No, I don't like that at all. 1 second. Oh, oh, name that by default, I suppose. It's box collision, so you have box collision surrounding the mesh itself. So that then will overlap with the character and then set that boolean to true, then set it back to false once the timer is done. You're checking to see if it's not ball. See, once you don't have to create the ball yet. In the second tutorial, I'll go over this variable, go over this cast to this class. So I can, what it's doing is checking to see if the ball did not hit the player, did not hit the power up itself, and if it didn't, then cast this player power up timer and destroy the power up itself. And the reason why I'm detecting to see if the ball is not colliding is because if you do check for the ball, if it is colliding with this power up, it will crash the game. And for now, this is the part 1 of the tutorial. I will go over this in the second part. If you need any questions, ask in the comment section down below, or like and subscribe if you found this video helpful so far. Okay, thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.